This is the Right Guys podcast where it hurts being right all of the time. And now your hosts, Josh Hammerling and Max McGuire.
Happy Monday, Right Guys podcast. My name is Max McGuire here with Mr. Producer Josh Hammerling. I got a new chair. It's a little too low.
What? Did you come onto the show with an untested chair, man?
Well,
that's an on-you problem?
It's tested. It's just a little low.
Just
gotta fix my little pillows. You know how these chairs.
I know. You got to find the sweet spot, and you got to get in there, and then once you find your zone, like you don't move out of it for several hours. I've been there. I still do that. I'm in one now.
Yeah. So that's fun. And now my camera's going all crazy. I gotta figure out this camera.
You are having the hardest time. You're not having as hard of a time though as the Biden administration is right now.
No,
especially in polls. Like there are some what do they call it? The Sun Belt. Like Nevada was up 11.
Yeah,
Trump, 11.
I think it was actually 13. I think it was actually 13.
Okay.
Well, look, this is a CNN clip that just got run. Let's play it.
Really? Sun Belt battleground states. Frankly, for the Joe Biden campaign, these numbers are an absolute disaster. The smallest lead is in Arizona for Donald Trump. He's up 6. Look at this. 9 in Georgia, 13 in Nevada. My goodness gracious. My God. That is a huge lead. No Democrat has lost that state since John Kerry lost it back in 2004. How about these Great Lake battleground states? This is.
Yeah, so no Democrat has lost that since 2004. In fairness, that's 4 elections.
Yeah.
So
I get that. But it's
right. I get it. It's been 20 years, but 4 elections, 2 of them Barack Obama.
Yeah.
With that whole hope and change thing.
Right.
Not exactly a Democrat lock. Nevada goes the way of the economy, right?
Yeah.
If you have someone in office saying that the economy is fine, you can bullshit the nation into thinking that the economy is fine. You can't bullshit Nevada.
Yeah. I mean,
Nevada into thinking it's fine.
How many unions are there that are based on tourism dollars that come in where people get to enjoy their money, right? And if people aren't spending money, it's a sign of the economy, right? I mean, they get it.
There are industries that don't have to do with the economy, but everything. I mean, Vegas props up the state. Vegas and Reno prop up the state. Even if you aren't in the entertainment, gambling industry, it still props up the economy. If Vegas fails, Nevada fails. If Reno fails, Nevada, well, to a lesser extent, Reno. So you can't bullshit them.
Yeah.
You can tell someone who works in like the culinary union in Las Vegas. Biden can say, "Oh, the economy's fine. The economy's fine." But if you're in that culinary union and your hours got slashed because companies aren't booking as many catering events anymore, it's hard to tell someone like that the economy's fine.
Yeah.
That you should be happy. I'm doing a great job. So we'll see. We'll see. The unions in Nevada. Nevada goes blue because of the unions. We'll see whether Donald Trump can wrestle control from those unions. But Georgia, of course, +9. Yeah. Georgia was always Trump country. It'll go Trump country again as long as ballots aren't counted at 4 a.m. and ballots aren't counted multiple times.
The only thing we got to hope for is that there's not a bathroom leak at any one of the centers.
Yeah, no leaky toilets.
If we got to get plumbers down there to voluntarily fix the plumbing before the election, like raise your hand, get out there, right? Yeah, because
let's manifest this in the chat, in the comments, whether you're watching on YouTube, on Twitter, on Rumble, in the comments. Let's manifest no leaky toilets. No leaky toilets. We're gonna manifest this into being. Arizona. You've got illegal immigration, obviously a huge deal. Biden can bullshit the nation, say that migration, illegal border crossings isn't that big of a deal. You can't bullshit Arizona. The people who have to deal with this on a day-to-day basis.
I see it.
You can't convince someone in Arizona that the crisis isn't happening. That might play in Minnesota, not going to play in Arizona, when anyone with a set of eyeballs can plainly see what is happening right in front of them. So that's devastating. I was going to talk about this later, but you brought up devastating polls.
Yeah, right out the gate. I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, it's fine. It's fine. And they're trying to say that the Great Lakes region, I would call that probably Rust Belt, because what ties these states together isn't the fact that they happen to be near bodies of water. It happens to be that they are the Rust Belt, former industrial capital of the U.S. That's going to be huge. And if Trump can swing Wisconsin, Michigan, or Pennsylvania, and those 4 other Sunbelt states, he wins the presidency, barring any other complicated or unforeseen change.
Right. What's crazy, especially on the Michigan ones, remember in 2020 when it was kind of flipped and Biden was up 3 points here, he was up 1 point here, and they were like they were comfortable with that, like they're indicating that's a lead, we're going to be fine there, right? But it was always in that margin of error. Now it's flipped, and they're kind of and the guy during the interview, or at least the segment, says like this is within the margin of error, like trying to get some sort of positive spin. But these are not just backs; these are like damning numbers, and it's not like Joe Biden's doing anything to help. It's not like Kamala Harris is out there trying to
not at all.
prop up or the propaganda machine's on its last leg. I mean, there's only so many times you can put him out there on drugs to see if he goes. And plus, is that debate going to happen? I mean, anytime, anywhere, right?
Biden says anytime, anywhere. Last place Biden probably wants that debate to happen is the Jersey Shore. You see that this weekend?
Oh my.
The left tried to go after Trump.
How did you feel seeing that?
I wished it was probably the only, other than when I miss my family and friends.
Yeah.
This was probably the one time I wished I was in New Jersey to be able to go to that.
Sure.
Wildwood's not close to where I used to live. It's still a hike. That's where and that tends to be more of a blue collar, college kid hangout town. Different towns on the Jersey Shore have different character. Wildwood is where they filmed Jersey Shore.
Oh, really? Okay.
So, well, Seaside Heights, Seaside, just north of Wildwood. So Wildwood tends to have that more blue collar ish, not old money.
Interesting.
Tends to be people who come in to maybe rent a house or rent a motel room at the beach. Not they necessarily own a house at Wildwood. But here, if we take those polling results and apply them to the 270 map, 270towin.com. You give Trump loosely Arizona, loosely Nevada, loosely Wisconsin, Georgia, Pennsylvania, North Carolina. I think North Carolina probably can go a little bit darker. That gives him 297, right? So let's say you lose Pennsylvania, 278.
Yeah. He
can lose Nevada, still be 272, still win, right?
Yeah.
So he can only lose 2 of those states. Well, he can lose 3. He can lose Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Nevada, and he still wins. So it's interesting numbers, and I think what we're seeing is the claim that Donald Trump has committed all these crimes isn't really sitting well with the American people. American people aren't buying into it. We're going to talk about that a little bit later with Michael Cohen.
Yeah.
People are starting to learn more about Biden. This Ashley Biden diary, now 100%. Beyond any doubt, confirmed to be true. Learning that Joe Biden's daughter is writing in her diary that she can't quite place it, but she feels she's trying to wonder why she's such a sexualized person. Was she sexualized as a child? And one of the things that she links as a potential turning point for that was taking nude showers with her father that weren't appropriate. That's crazy. And when we did the show on that, we, in this highly litigious world, had to be very careful with what we were saying. And I hate doing it, but I had to walk through, okay, well, this is what the diary says, and the diary is most likely accurate because this. Now we have the proof, 100%. Person who found the diary, was sentenced, and Ashley Biden actually wrote a letter into the judge asking for a sentence for her to be punished and saying that, yes, she wrote this diary. So that's inescapable now.
How do you come back from this as Joe Biden, man? I mean, this is, as horrible as this is, it's unbelievable stuff from the sitting president of the United States, man. This is unreal. Like, these are real allegations, right? I mean, are they even an allegation? I mean, it disturbs me a lot.
It's someone in her diary trying to figure out, why is she a sex addict? I mean, her words, not mine. Why is she hypersexualized? Was she hypersexualized at a young age? And she's trying to place it. She's going through therapy. She's dealing with, I think it was either alcohol or substance abuse. I don't know the exact specifics. I don't remember. But she's going through therapy, and part of the exercise is let's think about why you are the way you are. Where in your life can you attribute as turning points to make you this way? And once you figure out how you became this way, you can tackle it. So this is one of the excerpts from that diary, which up until this past weekend was just strongly alleged to be her diary. She now says it was her diary. She's trying to figure out why she's such a hypersexual person. She talks about how in grade school she would show the boys her underpants. She says she was hypersexualized at a young age. What is this due to? Was I molested? I think so. I can't remember specifics, but I do remember trauma. I remember not liking the Woolsacks house. I remember somewhat being sexualized with Caroline. I remember having sex with friends at a young age. Showers with my dad, probably not appropriate. Being turned on when I wasn't supposed to be. It gets worse.
I know.
Q-tips. I hated getting my ears cleaned. Beating my vagina due to overhearing my parents having sex. This is not normal. This is not normal behavior. And you really feel for her. But as I said in that other episode we did on this, if you're going through therapy and you're journaling, trying to figure out why you are a hypersexual person, and at any point in that list making, you arrive at the naked showers with my father.
Yeah.
And if at any point you get that gut feeling that they weren't appropriate, we should probably start there, especially if that father is president of the United States. Right. If this was Trump, if this was a Tiffany Trump diary or an Ivanka Trump diary, Donald Trump would be in handcuffs. He would be prosecuted for this.
Mm-hmm.
They'll prosecute him for everything else, even if there's no evidence. Yeah. They'd use this diary to prosecute him.
Max, remember when this would have been the leading story that would have hit every news cycle on the face of the planet nonstop for 24 hours? Hell, it would have shown up as Sally Jesse Raphael back in the day, right? It would Donahue. Yeah. I'm bringing up some old school names, but that was the last time you really would have heard anybody talking about this. And right now, the media just isn't. I mean, they're talking about integration, EIG stuff sometimes. I mean, why isn't somebody making their news career going after Joe Biden for this? I mean, this is a Woodward Bernstein kind of article, right? This is a once in a history moment that somebody should be making their career on. And what do we get? Less than crickets?
Yeah, I mean, look at the media coverage of Kristi Noem the last 2 weeks. She released this book, which, listen, I'm a dog guy. I've had dogs growing up my whole life. I love dogs. I could never bring myself to kill one of my animals.
Yeah.
With all of that said, if one of my dogs bit someone, oh, now I'm losing. If one of my dogs was like a biter and was biting people, they'd have to be put down, right? Yeah. That's not my requirement. Oh my God, my camera's all over the place today.
Well, if you've ever lived in like the rural life or on a farm, you do things, unfortunately, you have to do as a farmer sometimes, right? That is the relationship that you have with animals. It's different. And all we could see was this news cycle just denigrating her for being an animal hater. They had to cancel one of her events, and we've got the biggest story in presidential history, like one of them, sitting right here, right? So,
and usually there are local laws surrounding this. If you have a dog and that dog kills a farmer's livestock, and there's a legitimate fear that dog could keep killing livestock, generally there are laws in many of these communities requiring that dog to be put down. Terrible stuff, right? If the dog bites people and hurts them, there are many jurisdictions that require that dog to be put down. Now, with that story, the crazy thing to me was that immediately after she found the dog killing these chickens, she brought the dog to a gravel pit and put the dog down herself with a bullet. I could never bring myself to do that, right? But I get it. If you're in rural America, if you're a rancher, farmer, and this is a working dog, not necessarily a pet dog, it's a hunting dog, I could understand how you do that. I understand that if a cow gets sick, you got to put him down. And no, we're not going to take the cow all the way to the vet's office for them to inject him. We're not going to pay the vet to come out. we're just gonna do it ourselves. I understand that logic, but it's still it was hard to read because as much as I understand the need sometimes to put dogs down if they cause tremendous damage like that, and they have a propensity for damage, I couldn't personally see myself pulling the trigger. But that was a nonstop news story for weeks.
Oh God, yeah, yeah.
If a diary had come out that Kristi Noem was accused of taking naked showers with a minor, just imagine what that story. And she's not the president; she's the governor. And the only reason this got elevated is because people have been talking about her maybe being Trump's VP pick. But now, but Biden, diaries confirmed real, person who acquired the diary and sold it, going to prison. Ashley Biden says it is her diary. And what does that diary say? It says, I don't know why I feel I'm so hypersexualized. I might have been molested, and it might stem to those naked, inappropriate showers I took with my father, Joe Biden, President of the United States. Seems like maybe that might justify a little bit more investigation. A little bit more.
And on the marketing side of it, look at all of the effort the Democrats have put in to Joe Biden having the appearance of being just the good old buddy Joe, who's the great father who loves everybody, right? I mean, what a total about face. If true, you know what I mean? I mean, he's not the big guy, like the happy-go-lucky guy that everybody loves. I think there's some skeletons in closets in the Biden household, and nobody's trying to pull them out right now. No one. I mean, we're talking about it here.
Yeah,
might be some of the only people that do.
Let's operate under the assumption that this diary entry, that her gut feeling's pretty accurate, right? But suppressed trauma like that, there's a reason that it's suppressed because it's very hurtful, and it becomes hard to remember those details. But her gut feeling says that her hypersexual nature, her sex addiction, now stems from taking naked showers with her father.
Yeah.
How many other people out there do you think have diaries where they're saying the same thing about Joe Biden? If it's his own daughter going through therapy, how many other people have gone through therapy and are journaling this, writing this in their diary?
Who's the lady that accused Joe Biden of sexual assault in the Delaware? I want to say it was that
she's in Russia.
Yeah, she's in Russia to protect herself, right? Now, do we just have to believe her story? Like, I mean, remember the old hashtag, I'm with her or believe her? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if he's been accused of this by others and it's showing up in a diary, and we assume that the diary is real, or we presume that, then there's a lot going on there. Enough that if you were a DA somewhere, right? I mean, you can start looking into this. Heck, how many retroactive laws were made that, went after Donald Trump to try to get this sort of stuff? And now you've got something that might actually be legitimately true and awful at the same time for a guy who's the president of the United States, good old lucky Joe, happy-go-lucky Joe. Wow.
This is Tara Reid. This story's crazy. So Tara Reid comes forward and says that Joe Biden sexually assaulted her in 1993. Not only is she not taken seriously, but then the U.S. government investigates her for the bullshit, overarching accusation of Russian collusion, right? Wow. That she was coordinating with the Russian state to try and take down Joe Biden.
Yeah.
So not only do they not believe women, but they think they can get rid of her by making the Russian collusion accusation. The part of the story that really gets crazy, though, is she fled the country to avoid this prosecution, and went to Russia. So people are presumed to be innocent, right?
Yeah.
But generally, if you're accused of colluding with a foreign power and you then flee the United States to live in that foreign power, that's a little bit more than just Russian collusion. So lots of questions here. But I could understand in a world where she's being falsely accused of collaborating with Russia, the only place that she'd really be safe from extradition to the United States in 2023, 2024, post-Ukraine war would be Russia, right? So it doesn't, I can understand how, even if she didn't do it, that's the only place she can go to.
Right,
because every other country, I mean, maybe she'd go to China, but every other country would just extradite her back to the United States, right?
Wow.
So crazy, but that's what the left does with people who accuse Joe Biden.
Yeah. Yeah. Eh, He's invincible, man. Like they think he wears some sort of super bulletproof armor where nothing can stick, right? And everybody's going to bat for him. And there's
Yeah.
all these stones that have been thrown about him that makes you think, yeah, maybe he is a little less than on the up and up, as it were. And if he's willing to do that with the people in his life, and you've got the power of the president, is he willing to do anything else? I
Yeah,
mean,
that's the thing. And you see the media covering it up, not making this a story. When we covered this, we had to go out of our way to just say right from the bat, as much evidence as we had at the time that the Ashley Biden diary is real, there was still a lot of, not a lot, but small holes to prove beyond any doubt that it was real. And we covered how Snopes had said it's unproven.
yeah, that's right.
This is I have to use an archive version of Snopes because now that Ashley Biden has admitted it, Snopes has rated it true. He made popcorn just for this.
Keep going, I'm listening.
Here's the deal, though. That unproven has already gone around the world. Everyone's seen the unproven, right? The lie, and they went out of their way to say it's unproven. In their original reporting, they admit that it probably is, but we can't completely prove it.
We can't verify.
It got the unproven rating. Now that it has been proven beyond any doubt that it's true, they've changed it, but this isn't going to get nearly as much play as the first time around.
No.
Everyone's already consumed the information that, this whole thing about Joe Biden having a sexualized naked shower with his daughter that might have been molestation, according to her dream diary. That's not unproven, right? Everyone that's what the left and middle of the line believes. The rating of true will not reach nearly as many people.
No. And it's not intended to, because the only place you'll probably find it will be this show X somewhere, some independent journalists, right? It's independents that are going to talk about it. Real true independent journalists, because the journal machine isn't interested in pointing out the truth. They're there to push the propaganda of the administration.
Yeah.
Because we face a true fascist government. I mean, they are lining up the very institutions of media behind them to put out their narrative, Max. This is exactly what all those Antifa groups claim that they hate, right?
Yeah.
This is true fascism in your face every day. And there's nothing you can do about it.
No, there's nothing you can do about it. And what really makes this whole bit interesting is, like, when you talk about the media, it used to be, if it bleeds, it leads, right? That's the old saying. If it is sexual, if it is violent, if it is really corruption, right?
Yeah.
If you could get a politician in a sex scandal, potentially inappropriate naked shower scandal with their daughter, that would be it. Right.
Yeah.
If Bill Clinton can almost be removed from power for getting a blowjob underneath the Resolute desk, right, in the Oval Office, how can we live in a world where Joe Biden allegedly did this and nothing comes of it? Why? Because the goal of the media is no longer clicks. It's no longer newspaper sales. It's no longer ad revenue. The goal of the media is the perpetuation of the Biden regime, perpetuation of Democrat control on the reins of power in Washington, D.C. and around the country. So they will forego the story of the century if it means getting 4 more years of Joe Biden. And the crazy part of that is that for all of the media's criticism of Trump, he gave them nonstop access, more than I thought that the media deserved.
Yeah.
Joe Biden has given fewer interviews, I believe, at this point as president than anyone else in the modern era, at least in the modern television, internet era. He's not doing it. So the question is, how much longer is the media going to carry water for this guy, knowing full well that he has no intention of actually letting them ask the hard-hitting questions, right? Because we talked about this on the show about how every young liberal reporter wants to be the next, like, Bob Woodward. They want to be the next one to tackle an administration. Well, the problem is, if you work for an organization that is explicitly trying to ensure that Democrats hold on to power forever, the only way to become the next Woodward is to go after that Democrat administration.
Yeah.
Right? You don't become Woodward by going after the opposition party. So at what point at what point do they give up on carrying the water? It's you have to think it soon. Can't sit on this story.
I don't know, man. There's dark forces behind some of that media stuff. And, every time there is some sort of story that gets broken, either people disappear or the story itself disappears. So you've got powerful, rich people who never want that stuff to get out, and they're willing to buy and be news organizations to make sure that never happens. I mean, it sounds like it's a wing of the deep state at this point. You know what I mean? And it's real. We've seen the deep state operate now for almost 20 plus years, right? There's now a point
Yeah.
where they're controlling the narrative. They're controlling what's
Yeah.
being reported. They're in charge of what you see and hear. They control the vertical and the horizontal at this point. It's either blurry or it's clear, depending on what they want to present to you. I mean, it's like an episode of the Outer Limits from back in the 50s. You know what I mean? Those things that
Yeah.
you never thought could be real, and that's why it was so scary, and that's why it was sci-fi. But we are seeing the media line up with the government and go after their political opponents. It's no longer it's no longer fiction, Max. This stuff is or nonfiction or whatever it is. It's real, right?
Yeah.
It's real and it's happening. So
Yeah.
it's dystopian. It's in our face.
Yeah.
And
There was
can't do anything about it.
There was a poll, and it's interesting. One of the reasons that Donald Trump won in 2016 was that the media and the left put themselves into this bubble. They were content with living inside of the bubble and truly believing that Donald Trump had no chance, truly believing that everyone else agreed with them. There was a poll that came out from PBS NewsHour, NPR, Marist, and among other things, it asked the question of between Donald Trump and Joe Biden, who will weaken America if given a second term?
Really?
And the results were pretty shocking. Among independent voters, they believe that Joe Biden, 53%, would weaken America in a second term versus 43% of independent voters for Donald Trump. Now, the ultimate question is if that prevails, right? If you have a 10-point swing,
Wow.
if you have a 10-point swing for independents, is that enough for Donald Trump to win in those states that we talked about at the start? These states right here. Is a 10% swing, is plus 10% among independents enough to win Nevada? Well, you think to win Nevada, you're going to need a sizable swing among Democrats as well. It can't just be independents to win Nevada. You're going to need Democrats and you're going to need Republicans.
Yeah.
The crazy part of all of this is in the midst of all of these numbers where Donald Trump's doing so well, there's still this coordinated attempt within the Republican Party to sabotage him.
Yeah.
The never Trumpers.
Which just blows my mind, right? I mean, you're willing to another 4 years of Joe Biden will most certainly mean that the dollar is worthless. Like I see a true depression on the horizon if he ends up taking another 4 years. There will be nothing. We need Donald Trump here to fix those 4 years, man. And some of these swings probably will happen, but they still need to get the vote out. And we need to start looking where the Democrats are putting their money in what they consider these swing states in these areas, because if they think they can't win in an area, maybe the Republican Party finally needs to get their head out of their ass and start getting a ground game, right? And we are months away, and I still don't see Jack out there. There's nothing in Colorado. Everyone thinks it's lost. I don't think it is, but there's nothing.
Colorado GOP is pretty much bankrupt.
I know.
Barely any money. And we've heard rumors about who might have been responsible for pulling money out at the last minute. That there might have been some funny business going on behind the scenes as they change control of the party, and then all of a sudden, oh wow, here you go, you inherited a party, but the bank account's dry. That's gonna be tough here in Texas. I mean, here in Texas, Republican Party has like brick and mortar locations that they just operate year round for 4 years. Right.
Yeah.
So they're in strip malls because they say, okay, we're just going to invest in this. And that's one of the reasons that the Republican Party is so strong in Texas. But in these swing states in Nevada, you're not going to have Republican Party brick and mortar locations
No.
in Nevada, you got to have this ground game, right?
Yeah.
You got to have the ground game. You got to have the registering people to vote. And yeah, as much as we hate it, as much as we think it's ripe for fraud, you're going to need to go out there and find the Republican voters, the reliable Republican voters who are the least likely to vote on election day and get them to cast early ballots.
Yeah.
You're going to need to, because that's what the Democrats are doing. Democrats are going one step further. They're you follow the news reports, you follow the allegations, they're voting on behalf of people, right?
Yeah.
Well established here in Texas, at least, going into nursing homes, and they're just, everyone votes Democrat.
Yeah. I mean, even alleging the filling out ballots while they're being counted, if they were blank, let's not all eyes are on Georgia, but all eyes are on Georgia. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's real, but they're going to do it because they're willing to do it.
To beat that fraud, you need to have a massive turnout. And you can't just count on people. Oh, well, we're doing a good enough job. They're going to come out to vote. Well, lots of times things happen in life, right? You say, I'm going to go vote on election day. Oh, get called into work early. Oh, damn. Okay. I'll vote later. I'll get called into a work meeting. Oh, okay. I'll vote later. Oh, honey, can you go pick our daughter up or son up from school? He's sick. Okay. I guess I won't vote today. And before you know it, you don't cast the ballot. So you got to bank those ballots. Yes. Not the people like you or me who are going to show up and vote no matter what, right?
Yeah.
It's the other people. In a lot of ways, it's my wife, right? My wife votes, but she'll skip a primary election here or there if she's really busy, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You got to bank that vote. I can't vote on her behalf. I would never do that. I just strongly encourage her to go vote.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So you got to bank those votes. You got to collect those votes. And that takes a ground game. That doesn't happen organically. It doesn't happen accidentally.
No.
Scott Pressler's doing a great job of that.
Yeah. You get those buses out there and you start bussing people in. I mean, the Democrats have shown how you do it. I tip my hat to them. They not only do they have a ground game, they've got like a force. They can roll people out when they need to. So look at what your enemy's doing to win and copy it, right?
Yeah.
Just start doing the same thing. You've got to win. And we always want to stay legal on this stuff, but they're finding ways to win in ways that people didn't think could happen, right? So copy it.
Yeah.
Copy it.
Don't copy the illegal parts, but copy the ballot harvesting where it's legal.
Yeah.
Right? Copy the going door to door and making sure people are registered. You'd be surprised. I continue to be amazed. I think it's Pressler who puts out these reports. He goes to gun shows. I think he goes to gun shows and has voter registration table, and you'd be shocked to learn just how many people are at gun shows and aren't registered to vote.
Y'all need to get registered to vote. I mean, if you love your guns, that's the only way to.
I know, but out of everywhere, you'd think that you'd have like near 100% voter registration. You'd think it'd be at gun shows. But you don't, because you have people who are just reading the news, seeing how bad it's getting out there. Say, okay, I just need to go get a gun. In fairness, actually, I bet that the most hardcore Second Amendment advocates don't go to gun shows because they know there's better ways to get deals. I haven't found a good deal at a gun show in a long time.
Not in a long time, man.
So I don't go every time. I skip. I usually go the one right before Christmas, maybe one mid-year. But I used to go every time. There's not that many deals, and it is what it is. So you got to go to these events and get people registered.
Yeah.
And then you got to reach out to them, right? So the Republican strategy historically has been, okay, we're going to convince the individual voters to vote. The Democrat strategy is we're going to go into the churches, Southern churches, black pastors. We're going to get them to whip up the congregation, get them on buses to go vote. We're going to go through the unions. The union leaders are going to whip up the votes for us. The Democrat pitch, sure, there's a lot of times they're pitching directly to the voter, sure. But their success, they rely on getting the union leaders, getting the spiritual leaders in many of these inner city churches to sign on. And then they would do the hard work of not pressure. That's more the cynical way of looking at it, but convincing their people to vote. Republicans have to do the same thing. To do the same thing.
You don't realize the power of a single volunteer in your area. one person walking around, going door to door, or setting up an event, you could sway hundreds of people and never know it.
Yeah.
Right? That's the beauty of the gown. Word of mouth is everything. Talk to people where you go about it. Don't be afraid to be conservative anymore. I mean, they're going to try to shout you down no matter what, but go out, talk to PTAs, whatever you can get your message into. You should be taking it there with you, because that's what they do, right? The message is constantly pounded by them. They build a like synthetic culture around getting these votes out when they need to. I mean, Republicans have to do the
Yeah.
same thing if they ever want a prayer of getting that kind of turnout. And you need to be in the places that you wouldn't usually go.
And I'll also say that let's say that you are looking for a job. Let's say you're looking for a job and you live in Maricopa County, Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe you are older, you don't have a family, so you're just looking for something you can do part-time. Right now, Maricopa County has job listings for people to work in the election this year.
Oh.
So a temporary ballot counter. If you, like me or like Josh, believe that there's funny business happening behind the scenes, and you have the ability to work for it's $18 an hour, and you live in Maricopa County, this is an excellent opportunity to get paid and also be working behind the scenes, not to sabotage it, not to change anything, but just to make sure that whoever does this job is faithfully following the law.
And doing the job. Because I don't mind losing election to votes that are real.
Yeah.
And are my other fellow Americans. I hate losing an election to unknown voters, unknown ballots. So go out there, make sure that the chain of custody is clean and crisp. Make sure it is what it is. Take it into your own hands to make sure these things happen. This is huge. We've got to push this out, Max. This has got to be like apply for these jobs today sort of thing.
Yeah. Ballot curing. This is when someone votes maybe provisionally, or maybe they don't have an ID, or they leave something out on their actual mail-in ballot, and then the election workers will call them up, get them to come down, show their ID, fix it, cure the problem. You could be a ballot curer in Maricopa County. We hear all these stories about, hey, I don't know if it's trustworthy what they're doing with these ballots, how they're storing them long term. Maricopa County, there's a job available for you to be a temporary elections warehouse worker.
Wow.
Temporary elections warehouse worker.
Wow.
If you need, maybe you're retired, you want a little extra income, this seems like a great opportunity to make money and also make sure that people aren't going in those warehouses when they're not supposed to.
Right.
Josh, there is even a job listing for a temporary ballot tabulation adjudicator.
That's a big deal.
$16 an hour. This is the person in the process that, let's say, a ballot comes in and the way it's supposed to work. Let's call it the way it's supposed to work. A ballot comes in and someone filled out both ovals for Biden and Trump. Well, then that ballot goes to adjudication. And the adjudicator has to decide what the intent of that voter was. Maybe one of them is filled in but has an X next to it. Then they fill the other one in and point an arrow to it. That has to be manually determined, right?
Yeah.
The adjudicators have tremendous power because many of the accusations about fraud in the 2020 election involve the theory that the adjudication process was weaponized, that ballots were sent to adjudication and the adjudication process, because we know from researching this that we're not going to call any companies out by name, but there is technology in these adjudication machines to print ballots.
Yeah.
Right. So you're giving someone the power to say, oh, this ballot came in empty, but I think they actually intended to vote for Biden. Here, let me push this button. Machine prints out a Biden ballot. That's a tremendous amount of power. And now we know that you can wield this power for the lowly price of $16 an hour.
Hey, you can get paid to do it. It's a part-timer. Everybody's got a side hustle. Economy sucks. Apply for this job today.
Yeah. You sent me something where there's allegations floating around. They were there at the time, but still allegations floating around that what was it? I think it was in Georgia, that someone might have gone in after hours and messed with the tabulation of ballots. Well, if that is something that keeps you up at night, you can also work as a ballot tabulation technician.
Oh,
there you'll make up to $21 an hour, and you would actually be the one who would go in and work on the tabulators, and you would be the one who handle the code. So if you have this kind of experience working kind of tech, repairing, maintenance,
or if you're
machines,
smart,
yeah, go here, do this. Jobs
apply today.
And this is just this is what the podcast is. We're just going to recruit for all these things.
Yeah.
For the last 4 years, we've been wondering, how do we stop this? Like, how do we make sure that this is fair?
Right.
Like in a world where even if the theories that we've covered and we've talked about, even if at the end of the day they don't get proven to be true, how do we make sure that it doesn't happen? Because at the very least, even if these theories are never provable, at the very least, what's been uncovered is the potential for fraud, and that there are more than enough vulnerabilities in these election systems for people to take advantage of them. So whether or not we can ever have a smoking gun, guilt beyond a reasonable doubt evidence, right? Put that aside. We've uncovered that, there are vulnerabilities that shouldn't be left vulnerable. We've been wondering, how do we fix this? How do we fix this?
Yeah.
They're telling us how to fix it.
Yeah.
Put in a job application. Josh, I actually considered whether it would be feasible for me to just move to Maricopa County and just do this job. I guarantee I wouldn't make it through the vetting process. But yeah, if you're in the area and this is your thing, between now and election day, they're hiring these people.
Because this is one of those moments where you realize that if somebody did have ill intentions and they were working there, they could have huge effect. So if you're an honest person that wants to see a fair election, apply for the job yourself. Go and work it. See the process happen. Trust, but verify, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we want it to work, but now if we have good people doing the jobs of our elections, we should have good outcomes. So I want tons of people who are good, who want to follow the law. Apply for those today, because it's going to be a fierce battle for those jobs, I think. You know what I mean? I'd like to see the process for that. No,
I think that they're counting on it not being a fierce battle. I think they're counting on the fact that if they're only paying $16 an hour to be an adjudicator,
she's going to be able to afford to do it.
I can't afford to do that. Like we lose our house if I was working for $16 an hour. I couldn't adjudicate enough ballots for $16 an hour. So that's what they're counting on, right? That's what they're counting on. They also know that people who are working there, I mean, presumably you can be bought, right? I have to imagine it's a lot easier to bribe someone who's working for $16 an hour than someone who's pulling in maybe six figures, because they have more to lose. Because remember, in California, $16 an hour, it's not much more than minimum wage.
What are you going to rent? Yeah, I mean, you can't live
even in a world where you got bribed and the world came crashing down on you and they caught you. Oh no, boo-hoo. You're just going to keep working minimum wage jobs. I mean, so
what are you going to do? Fire me?
So the risk it's disproportionately weighted risk. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. Now's the time, if you have these skills and you have the availability. I think it would be really excellent.
I want to go through the process.
It'd be an excellent job for retiree. I mean, you see patriots at Walmart, like the greeters. I can't stand the greeters. They keep wanting to see my receipt. It's not Costco. I just walk right past them and say, sorry, I'm not doing this. You have to think that there are a lot of patriots, retirees, who would love to do this work rather than other more menial jobs. So if you're listening, watching the show, and you fit into one of those categories, highly recommend you check that out. Not just Maricopa, I guarantee if you live in a swing state, I guarantee there are jobs. And if you don't have time for a job, volunteer. If you have a legal background, a law degree, become a challenger. Like, talk to the GOP, say, where do you need me? The GOP will put you somewhere to watch. to challenge.
I mean, if you're former military, go do it. You're retired, living on the GI Bill, just go do it. I want the best Americans.
Yeah.
Helping with our elections. I want our best, honest Americans out there doing it. So please, we are begging you, go out and apply for these jobs. Make sure the process is correct, right? Only you can verify. So, and it's our republic, right? I mean, we all have a duty to do it in some way, right?
Yeah.
I'm just stuck here in Colorado, so I'm screaming into the wind half the time, right? I mean, there's so much gunk that comes out of our capital right now that
for sure.
Sometimes it feels like it's time to just get up and leave. You know what I mean?
Your feet. Vote with your feet. Well, we're almost out of time today. I wanted to bring one thing past you.
Okay.
We were going to talk about immigration. I think we can talk about immigration on Wednesday when we have a little bit more time. It was something interesting. Those YouTube videos. They're like, hey, sign up for you might have a health insurance grant under the Affordable Care Act.
Yeah.
Hey, you might not be using all of your grants. Sign up. I got an ad that actually said you're missing out on grants that are going to migrants. Click this link and see if you can qualify for health. It's just Affordable Care Act, right? It's just like, hey, make sure you sign up, you check the box. Yeah. The marketing on that to get people to click over to try and get their, basically the company, you pay the company or the government pays the company to walk you through the application process and make sure that you take advantage of every grant you can take advantage of. Like there are whole companies that exist just to help people walk through this process for the Affordable Care Act. But the ad pitch was migrants are getting health benefits. See if you qualify for the same benefits they're getting.
Dude, that tells you that's your marketing says that is an issue people are concerned about, and that's how you get to them. That should tell you everything you need to know about it.
I tried to download the video. You can't download YouTube ads. So the best I could do is I clicked on the ad, went to their website, and clicked around on the website. I'm hoping I get the ad again. If I get the ad again, I'm going to pause it and just screen record it and just let it run.
Yeah.
Because it was stunning.
Or if you have it out there, posted, send it to it. Like, find a way to get to us.
Yeah. It was just stunning to me that these companies, and I hate the companies, they're like, hey, Affordable Care Act, right? Make sure you sign up for Medicaid. I don't qualify for Medicaid, but whatever. It's just funny that the value proposition that they're now advertising to the American people is that the government's giving the illegal aliens, they call them the migrants, all of this money. Make sure you get yours. But
unbelievable.
But there is no migrant crisis.
30 million, 20 million. I don't know. That number is crazy. I can't remember if it's 30 million or a trillion or 30 trillion, because I keep getting confused between the migrants and the crushing debt that we have. Sorry, that's me.
If the private sector has determined that the fear of loss, that your tax dollars are going to go to illegal aliens, is a worthwhile advertising push.
Yeah. Tells you everything you need to know.
We've reached the point of no return.
Right.
It's
written on the wall.
Maybe I'll try and find that. We can talk about that on Wednesday.
Right.
But I sent you this before we went to air. I want to see what you think about this. This is a tweet from Senator Ben Cardin, and it says it's time to pass mandatory background checks, bans on assault weapons, and high ammo stocks. We owe it to young people everywhere. He is a senator, I believe, from Maryland. Yes, Maryland senator. I wanted to ask you, Mr. Producer Josh, what is a high ammo stock?
I was about to ask that question, and I was eating my liberal tears here. Is that like a company that makes stocks and it's got a high value, or is this like the bullets I can put in a stock before I put them into the gun? Or is there are stocks that is the ammo that goes into a gun? That's the other one, right? Because I want one of those. I want one of those.
There's different ways to think about it. Is he talking about like this? Is this a high ammo stock? You know what I mean? Like this is the question. What originally came to mind is like I have a lever action. I have a 45 Magnum, and I have ammo on the stock. Like I have a little clip for all my bullets to say on the stock.
Is that a high ammo stock?
Is that a high ammo stock?
Can you find one? I mean, can we find a high ammo stock on a, what's a high ammo stock? Can I buy one? I'm looking now. I mean, if it exists, I mean, well, I live in Colorado, so I don't even know if I can get it delivered here. High ammo stock. Well, I get Yahoo Finance on that. Ooh, gun stocks to invest in.
We got people talking about the Spencer carbine.
That's what it
which
is.
actually loaded bullets through the stock, which was a very ingenious design for the time.
Yeah.
High ammo stock. It also reminds me of, there was a meme. I'm sure the meme, like many memes, was born in reality. That old M16 stocks, you know, where you could put the cleaning kit.
Yeah. Yeah.
That like soldiers would put like Skittles in there, like M&Ms in there. Like maybe that is a high ammo stock. The really sinister part of this is he talking about stockpiles? Is it like you own a lot of ammunition?
Wait, really? Because that's a problem now.
That's a problem because the logic behind, and for everyone listening to the audio version, which if you haven't already, subscribe to the audio version, it's available everywhere. The logic, air quotes, the Democrats have used to pitch magazine bans is that you can always carry more magazines and you can always reload.
Oh.
So you don't need a lot of bullets in one magazine if you can carry multiple and reload.
Yeah.
If the logic has transitioned to you should only be allowed to have so many bullets at once, that negates the previous logic, air quotes, of the magazine ban. Because you can't reload multiple times if there's a set cap on how much ammo you can have.
You can have, like on me at any one time, or in my house, or the ammo case, or what's hot? What's a lot? That seems really subjective. That's the other thing. Like I know people that will go and shoot 1,000 rounds a week.
Yeah.
Right, and that's normal. Like they could do more. They could do more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Easily do more. So what is a high ammo stock? Like
I believe, if I had to guess, Ben Cardin doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Or whoever wrote this tweet for him. Because I'm not ready to believe that he actually wrote this tweet. I think this was farmed out to their intern. I think that they meant to say large capacity magazines. But they don't actually know what they are. So they say, high ammo stocks. Which, for people in the Second Amendment movement, gun owners, might remind you of an old clip where Tucker Carlson, back in the day on MSNBC, I believe it's MSNBC, interviewing Representative Carolyn McCarthy, who was a congresswoman from New York. She had authored the assault weapon ban, and that assault weapon ban would have banned barrel shrouds, which what we know is that's a technology that's been around forever. You wrap wood or metal around a barrel so you don't burn your hand. You can hold the gun. But when Tucker Carlson asked this congresswoman what she meant when she wanted to ban this, she didn't know what she was talking about. Here's the clip.
What a barrel shroud is? Particular time. I actually don't know what a barrel shroud is.
Okay, because it's in your legislation.
It's a shoulder thing that goes up.
No, it's not.
The shoulder thing that goes up. I have struggled. I think what she's talking about is I think she's describing an adjustable stock. But it's the shoulder thing that goes up that confuses the hell out of me.
I don't. I've seen this a million times. I figure just eating popcorn through it because this is entertainment at this point.
It still hits every time.
Yeah, every time you're just like, man, I love that. Every time you see it, I love to see the ignorance on their face. You know what I think that tweet was though? I think they used AI. You know what I mean? I think somebody's like, give me a week's worth of tweets, right? And they just copy and paste, right? And they schedule, right?
Yeah.
I almost guarantee you, I think that's what's happening here. They're like, put in that high ammo stuff.
That bullets. We're bad bullets.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it.
I think they meant to say large capacity magazines, which are just standard capacity magazines, and someone doesn't know what the hell they're talking about, like Carolyn McCarthy shoulder thing that goes up. Suddenly magazines become high ammo stocks. But it just goes to show that the very people who want to legislate the Second Amendment out of existence, they don't actually know what they're talking about.
Yeah. Not a
They
clue.
don't actually know what they're talking about.
The ignorance is disgusting. I mean, you watch it and you see them, and they talk about, that high something stock that goes over the arm. You just want to reach out and slap it because they know nothing about what they're trying to make laws about. And if they don't know jack about this, and they're like running the country, what other subject matter things are coming up where they have no clue as to what it all means, right? Like finance stuff on some of these folks, just going over their heads, but they're voting on it, right?
They're voting on it. They're voting on it for sure.
And our leaders.
And this reminds me of a part of a bill that's being proposed in New York. And I want to see if I can find it. I don't want to.
But they're trying to take away from people there now. It was high capacity, then bullets, and then they got rid of body armor. You couldn't carry a gun unless it was in like some other space. So what else are they going to take away from me in New York?
So so they want to ban pistol converters, which they define as it's supposed to be something that turns a Glock into a machine gun. Those are already banned, right? Those are already banned.
Yeah.
But they're trying to super ban them, make them super duper triple banned. But I did a post on this on Twitter. The problem is that the way they wrote this is actually really dangerous. They described a pistol converter as any device or instrument that, when installed in or attached to the slide of a semi-automatic pistol, interferes with the trigger mechanism and thereby enables the pistol to discharge a number of shots or bullets rapidly or automatically with one continuous pull of the trigger. Now, because of their comma usage, the way this is written, a judge could actually say a pistol converter could be any device attached to the slide that helps a pistol fire rapidly.
Oh my
rapidly,
gosh.
Or 2, automatically with one continuous pull of the trigger. If they wanted it to be automatically or to shoot bullets rapidly or automatically with one continuous pull of the trigger, you got to have a different comma placement there.
Yeah, so because if you put on a compensator and you just pull the trigger fast, now you've got something that fires rapidly.
Yeah.
That's a dumbass law.
A trigger spring that is a little bit lighter than
factory
trigger springs could theoretically make a gun fire faster. It could also make it not fire at all. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Or at least it would fire once. But theoretically, as long as you don't do too much, a lighter recoil spring could do it. A trigger mechanism, maybe a lighter trigger, maybe just a lighter slide. Maybe just a lighter slide.
Yeah. What if you just changed out the slide with another slide?
Yeah.
And then now that would fall under that law because it shoots a little bit faster.
Yes. And so they don't know what they're talking about. You like to think that this is just them not knowing what they're talking about. And this was a problem in Colorado. One of the reasons that they shelved that whole deal in Colorado was it ran the risk of turning any updated trigger into a machine gun, right? You like to think that this is just out of ignorance, but there's also the very real possibility that they know exactly what they're doing. Yeah. And their goal is to open up the door for more regulation. Because look at it this way, Josh. If this bill was to pass in New York, they could ban any gun they want. At least in this bill, any handgun they want, simply by paying an engineer to go into AutoCAD and design something that would make it shoot faster or make it shoot automatically. Why pay hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars to lobby the legislature to go through the steps of banning a gun by name when you can just pay a grad student who knows how to work AutoCAD to design a part that could theoretically make a gun fire more rapidly, then it would automatically be banned. Is it ignorance? Is it stupidity? Or is there an ulterior motive at play? You never do know with these people.
Well, I always get upset when I see people say stuff. You're just too ignorant. You don't know what you're talking about. And they try to blow you off because they think it's funny.
Yeah.
They want you to think, right? Because if you and I know it, they most likely can find out that information. The internet's there, not a problem. So they try to write this sloppy language to try to ban as much as possible. So you're actually losing in those times that you think, haha, they'll never do it. They don't know what they're talking about. And you take that moral high ground on it. No, they're working you over. You're on the ropes, and you don't even know you're about to get knocked down.
You don't even know.
Don't let them take an inch on it. Don't assume they're ignorant. Don't assume that they don't know what they're doing, because they do, and we see it here. So that's my soapbox moment. That just pisses me off.
Well, we'll keep an eye on all these changes, and if we learn what a high ammo stock is, we will of course bring it to you without delay.
I'll buy one if I can.
yeah.
I mean, I kind of want to be one now. I mean,
yeah. Is it weird? Like I want one.
Yeah.
Even though
I was like, is this an animal?
Even though we know it doesn't exist, is it weird that I kind of want one now?
I mean, does it look like something out of an Alien movie, and then suddenly I'm shooting like off of a thing? Like,
I don't know.
That'd be cool.
But if you had the option between getting a stock and a high ammo stock, I think it's very obvious you'd want the high ammo stock.
Ammo stock, right? I mean, clearly, I'm sold on that marketing.
Yeah. So this little faux pas might actually bring about a new invention. Hopefully. And if it does, we will bring it to you. But we are out of time today. That's it for this edition of the podcast. If you're watching us on Twitter, welcome. We go live on Twitter, on YouTube, on Rumble. You can search us out, The Right Guys Podcast. We also have an audio edition of the podcast available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Audible, Podbean, all great places. So if you like the show and you want to watch more, listen more, check us out there, subscribe. You can listen as you do your commute or drive around or whatnot. That's it for this edition of the podcast. My name is Max McGuire.
I'm Josh Hammerlin.
Remember, everyone, the fight to take back our country is not over yet, but the only way we win is if we all stand up and fight together. See you next time.
See you.